Imagine this, you're stuck in a toxic job 8 hours a day, desperate to get out. After 8 months of searching, you get a call that sounds like this.
I need to discuss a job with you. Please add me on WhatsApp.
So you add them on WhatsApp and send them a message. Not long after, you're offered not just a job, but a dream job. You can work from home, whenever you like, whenever you feel like it. Since it sounds too good to be true, you Google the company and it checks out, so you sign up. Well, that's what happened to one listener, and they found themselves caught deep in an incredibly sophisticated job scam. And we'll tell you all about it here on the podcast that helps keep you safe from scams, hacks, and frauds. Before we begin, could you please take your phone out and share this episode with someone you know who's looking for work so they know exactly what to look for? Our anonymous listener was introduced to this scam by a recruiter on WhatsApp, claiming to be from a recruitment firm operating on behalf of a marketing firm. Although they gave real company names, we're not going to mention them here because as best as we can tell, they're an innocent victim too. But these were firms of significant size that if you Google, you'll find websites and an international presence for them. So here's how the job was pitched to our listener. The job is completely flexible and can be performed remotely. Our company operates daily from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., allowing you to work just 1 to 2 hours per day at a time that fits your schedule. All you need is a smartphone or a computer to start working. The salary was also very impressive. Depending on how many days you chose to work, you could earn £4,716 per month, plus commission, and the training is all online. For someone desperate to escape a bad situation, it seemed like a true godsend. And the company's checked out, so there's no reason to be skeptical. But our listener still did his homework and asked for things like a job description. He was told the job would be to improve app rankings, reviews, and visibility on the Play Store and the App Store. Optimizing apps which didn't require anything to be downloaded to your phone or computer. They called the job a data transporter, and if it doesn't work out, that's fine. The job has a 7-day trial where you can walk away at the end with 1 week's worth of pay. That's £618. If you're interested, there's no time to waste. The recruiter can take you through the training right now on WhatsApp. They'll get you signed up on the website, and you're on their platform. The facade of having to rate apps and optimize data is soon forgotten. You're instructed to buy some crypto. In this case, it was USDC, a specific type of cryptocurrency linked to the value of the US dollar. You're told to send that to a certain wallet address, and then you're sent back funds to cover the purchase and your commission, 0.5%. It seems like money for nothing. But this isn't the end of the operation. Let's talk special orders. That's how you make the big money. Randomly, or so they claim, you'll be allocated a special order. These cannot be cancelled or skipped. They must be completed. However, the commission is 10 times the standard commission. But unlike a standard order, you're not refunded straight away or sent your commission instantly. But don't worry, you can still do some regular jobs in the meantime to rebuild your balance. Although you might have to top up your balance with more crypto to be able to do those. Okay, let's take a big look at what's happening here. Firstly, if this weren't a scam, you would be likely acting as part of a criminal enterprise. When you're buying crypto for someone else, particularly people you don't know, who then swap it for crypto that they own, that's probably money laundering. Money laundering, as we discussed in our last episode, is where you try to disguise where dirty money is coming from. Dirty meaning it's coming from a criminal enterprise. This is highly illegal. And even if you don't know you're doing it or a part of it, you can still be arrested and convicted. We previously covered the story of Ebony King, who found the police at her door when a friend overpaid her for money that they had borrowed and asked her to pay the difference back in cash. But what makes this a scam, rather than just regular criminal enterprise, is those special orders. The small orders are there to just convince you that it's legitimate, well, as legitimate as something like this can be, and that you can make real money. When they think you're convinced, They drop the special order on you, and since you're convinced, you give them more money convinced you're going to get it back. But you never will. They'll keep trying to squeeze you for more special orders until you either run out of money or give up. So since these fake jobs are everywhere, I thought I'd better talk to an expert. I'm joined by Steve Rothberg from College Recruiter. Thanks for joining me.
See, it's great to be with you. Thank you.
It feels like job hunting has changed a lot in recent years. How will real recruiters try to reach out and make contact?
Yeah, some recruiters, whether they work for the employer or whether they work for what we in the US will call a staffing agency, usually in the UK you just refer to them as an agency, but it's a third party that contracts with them. If they're reaching out to candidates, then they will typically do so via platforms like LinkedIn, Indeed, job boards, job search sites. Occasionally, you'll find them where if you have like very highly specialized skills, think professor, a dentist, something like that, they may find you on the list of a conference or maybe a webinar that you delivered, and then they'll reach out to you that way. Sometimes they'll do it by phone. It's mostly email. Most people, though, when they're finding jobs, it's the candidate, it's the job seeker that's actually contacting the recruiter. It's not the recruiter contacting the job seeker.
So the other day I got a phone call from someone saying, please add me on WhatsApp, I've got a job to discuss. Is that going to be real or is that going to be fake?
I guess I wanted to know whether you were accepting the job offer that I was extending to you and for all of your banking information. And so far, I have not received that, and I'm very disappointed in you. In all seriousness, huge red flag, and I'm really glad that you mentioned WhatsApp. There are loads of other communication tools that are somewhat similar. None of them are nearly as widely used by just ordinary people as WhatsApp, and that's why you tend to see WhatsApp being used mostly. If a recruiter ever asks you to switch over from communicating via Total Jobs, via Indeed, via email, and they say, let's switch over to WhatsApp, I would say run, don't walk away from them.
I agree totally. Anytime, whether it's on a job site or whether it's anywhere else that you're being asked to sort of change format, that is always a red flag. But when you are on a job board, what should I look for in a job ad to determine if it's real or if it's likely to be a fake job?
It's becoming increasingly difficult. So College Recruiter is a job search site for candidates who are early in their careers, 0 to 5 years of experience. We've been around for 3 decades, and it's always been a bit of a cat and mouse kind of a game. As soon as the job search sites catch up to the scams that are being perpetrated out there, then something else will come along. Years ago, you could look at a job ad and you could see poor grammar. And it would just be obvious to you that it was written by somebody whose first language was not English, for example. And, if the job is in London or New York, it's pretty unlikely that their English language skills will be really poor in a job ad. You would see things like company names being listed incorrectly. Microsoft Corporation would instead show up on a job ad as like Microsoft, Inc. Things like that if you know enough about the company, you're going to be able to identify it. And that was helpful when you were applying to jobs with large employers that had a significant digital footprint. You could kind of look them up. The scammers are much more sophisticated now. Large language models, LLMs like ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., have enabled them to perpetrate these scams at scale and really help clean up a lot of those problems. One thing that I would say is to use multiple signals. Don't just rely on the information that whoever posted the ad wants you to see. Whether it's legitimate or illegitimate, you want to check out that company. You want to check out that person. If you can identify the recruiter, the hiring manager, etc., Google them, go to sites like Glassdoor, go to sites like LinkedIn. And if in doubt, don't use the information in the job ad to contact the company to find out if they're a real company, because guess where that communication is going to go? Instead, go to Google, find a phone number, an email address, a contact us form, etc. Send them a message and say, hey, I saw this job posting or this recruiter contacted me about this position. I just want to verify that this recruiter is who she says she is and that the job is actually available. You'll be amazed at how often that company will come back and say, no, that person doesn't work for us. No, that job is not available. And the reason I say you'll be amazed at how often it happens is because, your spidey sense, your intuition that something is off is probably correct. So when everything looks totally legitimate, you're walking down the street, there's a help wanted sign in the window, you walk into the shop and you fill in an application, or you walk in and they tell you to go to the website and then you do that, you're just not going to have those same issues. It's more about when you don't know that organization, when you don't know that recruiter. So reach out to the company independently, not using the contact information that's in the ad, and just verify that they are who they say they are.
Absolutely. And if I can just add to that, if you are Googling a company, you still have to be careful to make sure that you do end up on the right website.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's multiple signals. Also going to a LinkedIn. If you see a company that says they have, 26 stores in 17 countries and they do $18 billion in business in copper, whatever the product might be, and then you go to their Google page and there's a bunch of broken links. You click on a link to go to the contact page and it doesn't send you anywhere. You go to LinkedIn and you see the company has 12 followers, but it's supposedly doing billions of dollars in sales. Again, run.
Now, let's say someone has fallen for a job scam. What should they do?
Probably curl up in the fetal position. It depends upon how far down that rabbit hole you went. So if you just applied to the job and now you're getting a recruiter coming back and they're saying something like, hey, C, you look like you're a great candidate. To make it easier for us to communicate, let's switch over to Telegram. Let's switch over to WhatsApp. Then just block them. Just move on. On the other hand, if you've already handed over your banking information because they told you that they were going to, pay you monthly, or if you did some project, then they're going to wire you money or send you money electronically, I would just immediately change your banking information. Go and close your account, open up a new one. It's going to be a real pain. It's going to be very inconvenient, but it's a lot better than having them empty your bank account. Unfortunately, there's very little recourse that the vast majority of these victims have, because these companies are going to be next to impossible to track down. And they're probably in countries where you're not going to have any real access to the courts, to the judicial system. I mean, if somebody in Russia comes and scams you, what are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do. You can't even get to Russia anymore to go and deal with it.
Yeah. If somebody scams you and they live down the block from you, even then it's like, well, it kind of depends on how bad the scam was. Then you call the police. You probably don't want to go knock on that person's door and subject yourself to potentially being the victim of physical violence. But I think it just really depends, on how bad the harm is in terms of what your next actions are. But usually it's going to be a situation where hopefully the sting doesn't hurt too much and that you can move on, and that next time you'll be a little bit more careful. It's really awful because as hard as the job market is for everybody right now, you add this layer on top and it just breeds a lot of distrust between people. Very good people on both sides of that hiring table, the recruiter and the candidate, now end up not trusting each other as much as they should. And that makes it harder for employers to hire, and it makes it harder for people to get hired.
I like to leave our listeners with one thing that they can do today that costs nothing or next to nothing to help protect them from scams. Can you think of something that doesn't cost money and maybe takes little or no time to reduce the chance of them falling for a recruitment scam?
Set up a fake Gmail account. Well, not really fake, but set up a secondary Gmail account. If you're joe.smith@gmail.com and that's what you use for all of your family, your banking, your Facebook login, and all the rest of it, create another Gmail account, joe.smith.jobapply, something, or 20, the number 21, whatever. And just use that for your entire job search. When you're finished with the job search, just close the account and walk away from it. That way, if you do apply to a fake job, at least that quote unquote recruiter is less likely to have your real email address. That's one less piece of information that they have about you. Now, that said, do take care in setting up that disposable email address, because remember, you're going to be using that for real recruiters and real employers. So don't have it just be some gobbledygook, XR4TI, exclamation 394. An employer is going to look at that and like, what the heck is this? Have it make sense. If you're a engineering major from Leeds, you can do something like cindy.engineer.leeds@gmail.com. Something like that would make sense for the employer. Also, just do not hand over banking information. That's mostly what they're looking for from people. Most of the scams are, I'm a fake employer. I'm going to send you some money. Now I've got access to your bank account or know what your banking information is. And then I might get you to send that money back. Oops, I overpaid you, so you need to send that money back to me. And then the reality is you end up sending them back £2,000, but they've only sent you £2.
That's actually a really good tip. And there are services out there that will let you also set up emails that you can just use once and then immediately throw away. But you set up on Google and it's free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are some job boards that will essentially disguise you, and they will route your application to the employer through their system. And that's mostly good when you're applying to small and medium-sized employers. Most of the large employers want you to apply on their website. And so then having a Gmail, or whatever system you want, Yahoo, whatever, is going to be quite helpful.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Stephen. That's actually been really helpful.
Cheersy.
If you're looking for work, particularly if you've just finished school or if you're looking for recruits who are, you may want to check out College Recruiter, and you'll find them at collegerecruiter.com. Scams, Hacks and Frauds is available for free under the Creative Commons with Attribution Share-alike license. If you are reusing our content, the music cannot be reused under this license. You can find more information and our previous shows, along with all transcripts, at www.scamshacksandfrauds.com.